Yard Heroes US, whatever. And I can shout this guy out. This is, within my legal rights or whatever, because, sometimes, it's just a shit talk video. I went ahead and posted it in the Amen Drop the Mic 2, as well as the Weak People Make Hard Times. This might be legit, but this is why I think it's not. The footage looks legit. Apparently this guy goes around, trimming people's trees and, well, maybe not trees, but, their grass basically and hedges for free. At least, I don't know what his main gig is. I might check out his channel just out of curiosity. But, he's like a landscaper type dude. Does a lot of trimming of stuff. And his spiel, his gig that he spews is there's people who are down and out and he's helping them out for free. I don't know if he does actual videos, but I've seen a few of his shorts. But, and as far as the voice goes, it does sound like it could be legit. Because like I said, AI tends to pronounce every letter and every word. So instead of saying syrup, AI will say syrup. Instead of saying, state, AI will say state. And it really has this, like, it's really fucking annoying. I can't hardly listen to it, a lot of it. I have to listen to it just barely enough where it's audible, because that pisses me off. Just the absolute pronunciation of every fucking letter and every fucking word. And frequently it'll have this bitch fucking voice. In fact, I made a folder public specifically for it. I titled it AI bitch voices talking like AI bitches or something like that. And it's just a pet peeve of mine. Why do you got to make it like that? It should be a law. Every AI voice should be the original one. Y'all probably know the one I'm talking about, dear online family and friends. And that's when Karen realized that she made the biggest fucking mistake of her life. That guy. He doesn't sound like that, but you probably know the guy. Just don't make it sound like some overeducated, smug British guy, talking about Viking raids. It's like the narrator voice doesn't match the fucking video. And like I said, a lot of these creepy videos that I watch, it's some, dude, who's purposely, it's an AI voice, who's talking a little bit weird. And like I said, it's the pronunciation of every single fucking letter in the word that just, instead of saying bubble, I just can't stand it. Especially the S's and the T's. The S's, it's not just S, but like, it's really state, and I can't do it. My tongue doesn't make that sound on the roof of my mouth, but AI does. And it's just some faggot fucking shit, and I can't hardly listen to it. So this seems like it might be legit. There's a lot of people who just have annoying voices. They talk stupid. So this guy might be that type of guy. But he frequently, I've noticed a theme. There's always some Karen. So far it's only been Karens, not Kyles, who are having an issue. He comes out and they're part of like the homeowners association. So instead of this guy just mowing his lawn, he hires a crew, or they volunteer for some reason, however that logistically gets done. And a Karen, they're parking their vehicle, there's a bunch of people, there's piles of leaves, and the mowers from the engines from the mowers and leaf blowers and trimmers are going all day, so it upsets them, And number two, I guess I should say, is the state of these yards that they're in, that this guy shows him and his crew, Good Samaritan style cleaning up. If you were a member of a homeowner association, I don't think it would get to that point. I think they would issue a notice. However that works. I've never lived in a homeowners association. My sister does. But so that's suspicious, okay? The constant pattern of, bad person versus good people, okay? There's the pattern that I see. The second pattern I see is these yards that are like you'd see them in, a shit-run neighborhood, somewhere. It's not a house that's part of a homeowners association. So that's the second thing that I see. And I just saw a cop. It was a cop, and it said, I'm going to call the mayor, and once the mayor says this, that, or the other, what he says, then I'm going to arrest you. So right off the bat, I'm thinking, the mayor? You mean the guy who's, stealing my money to, fund his retirement for him and his kids and maybe even his grandkids? Maybe not at that level. That's the upper level. Like I said, 3 to 4 generations is all they're thinking about, and then the rest of it can burn, and their grandkids and great-grandkids can move with them on their private islands or whatever, That's why your taxes and shit go up every year, That's why the gap keeps getting bigger. Wages versus cost of living. Now that is my theory, but there's a lot of complimentary, for lack of a better word, information that you can see on that. Plus Bill Whittle, what he had said, but great minds think like mine. I had stated that before I watched that video. So and I've said that so the mayor isn't fleecing you as much as top politicians. But Mayor Gumby, in Podunk nowhere is still probably the highest paid and richest citizen in that city. So this person who's making all these decisions really doesn't have fucking time to be the mediator, or the mommy or the daddy who steps in between two siblings fighting. Okay, so there's one thing. There's that I saw. And then another one with a cop in it, same video. So I don't know if that's, AI or whatever, that was like, oh, here's the same dude. Another one with a cop in it. And the cop's like, turn around and put your hands on the wall, which is something cops don't do. That only happens in the movie. If they frisk you, it's usually just put your hands behind your head and interlock your fingers, and they'll grab your fingers or something and frisk you with one hand and whatever. I have never been asked, or seen on any cop videos, dash cam, whatever. It's only in the movies that cops say, turn around and put your hands against the wall, and they frisk you. And of course, this guy is like, blah, 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 you can't do that, blah, blah, blah. And again, because, the state or the city or something was like, you can't come in here and just do shit. It's like, it's the what, private sector, I guess it's called. Homeowners association or not, unless it's an apartment complex, where you have to have their, the managers use their people for any landscaping or in apartment repairs or maintenance. Even if you're in a neighborhood that's a member of the HOA, you still get to call, Guido's landscaping service. Guido, those entrepreneur types, But as far as I understand. But anyway, and then this copper, takes out his CB or whatever, not a CB, but his radio, which was handheld, and said, more manpower, and it's like, oh my God, the handheld, no, it's usually the one that's on the shoulder. That way it's just something that's just there, so you can just, beep, 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 it's, especially if you're in an emergency, you need to be able to get that done as quickly and efficiently as possible. So, your like source unit might still be in your belt, but you don't have to actually pick it up and speak into it. And more manpower? okay, we're done here. This is low level AI. And like I said, the footage could be gathered from anywhere because it looked real. Usually AI, some of it's better than others, but it always kind of has that cleanness to it, that crispness, that it's like I don't know, you know, but it might be just high level AI. And again, like I said, the voice is a little bit more human sounding, but it still could be just, But anyway, my point is, after 10, almost 11 minutes in, I have concluded that this is another Brian. Okay, dear online family and friends, if you know, you know. Ben and Brian are cut from the same cloth. Ben, his entire life, he eventually makes it up to, he could just, be an employee at McDonald's and never leave his mom's basement, or just be, a renter, low level, lives for the weekend, video games and energy drinks. He might make it to like manager of McDonald's, or maybe even like a parts store or something, but he's generally a low level dude who lives a low level life, and there's nothing wrong with that. But, his mentality, he's also the type of guy who hacks home security systems just so he can watch people, and or listen to them. And that's just like a part of his day, Hey, I did that, it's like, why, And it might have something to do with him, video games, and it kind of makes him feel like he's in God mode, And it's just he's I believe the word is depraved, you know what I mean? He's not like this evil conniving weasel. Well, he kind of is, but he's just sort of a chicken shit little man, And that's like who Ben is. Brian is the same guy, but he's a little bit more horsepower. Same mentality, same operating system. To use computer terms, he might have more robust and fancier and far-reaching hardware, but he's got the same firmware. And then the software, he's got, higher level software. Now, I'm not into computers, but I just figured I'd throw that out there. So Brian is basically Ben, only he doesn't work at McDonald's or maybe even work himself up to manager, because then you've got responsibilities, ordering food, scheduling shifts, hiring and firing people, conflict resolution, spotting problems and solving them. Okay, how come we're not selling this product? Blah, 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 what's going on, So there are some responsibilities in that role. But then there's jobs like, car salesman, where it's like you're paid on commission. So you got to be that, hey, ho, hey, okay, hey, the bank's about to walk. The fuck they are, but, you kind of got to be a smoozer, which means you kind of, I think that's the right word, you kind of had to be more horsepower. The Bryans are the people who, make shitty products, and sell them on the internet. They, they make these channels that are like monetized, and it's just AI, making up stories, and shit like that. So I think this is what this guy's doing. He's a Brian. I could probably come up with some more examples, but I'll just leave it at that. I don't know. Brian, I just watched the video from my future bestie Cool Breeze, Finance Bros. Those are Brian's, okay? He might work at the bank, and he thinks he's this smart guy, and he's really not, So Brian has just been just a little bit more horsepower. It might be a little more horsepower. It might be a fair amount more horsepower, but Brian has basically been just a little bit more horsepower. So I think this is a Brian who owns a fucking landscaping company, and he's a mover and a shaker and a mover. He's a problem solver. He's an outside the box thinker, 100,000-aire entrepreneur, and he probably is. He owns his own business, and he's like, hey, this internet thing, there's money to be made here, So, I mean, that's it's just like Mr. Longhead said, there's like 7 things that makes you a high value man, and one of them is the ability to make money, you know. And making money, solving problems is a service that will always be in demand, or offer some sort of expertise or coaching to a degree. You don't want to be one of these gurus, but even then, it's like there's a lot of suckers out there who maybe didn't have a father figure in their life, or he's a pushover. It's like they're willing, and there's a place for that. A lot of it is just like everything else. It's just some guru, dude, bro, faggot shit, spewing horse shit. Like, dude, when you're at the bar, you got to hold your drink at your side, because if you hold it in front of your chest, subconsciously, you're trying to hide the size of your penis, or some fucking faggot shit, that a fucking dude bro Brian would come up with. You want things to be open, There's the closed, what's the word? Closed energy versus open energy. You remember that time when they were like, yo, it's called manspreading? No. Chicks love guys who manspread, because it shows that they have the confidence that, hey, world, I'm taking up as much space as I want, and anybody who's everybody can look at my dick if they want to. Not trying to hide anything here. The dude bro shit, But, which, by the way, I did actually see that. Not that I was watching shit like that, but somebody had actually said, if you hold your drink in front of you, it shows like insecurity. It's like, no, asshole. It's either sitting on the table or the bar, but if you're holding it, there's a 99.99999% chance that 1,000 out of 100,001 men are going to be holding it directly in front of their chest, because that's the comfortable place to hold it if you're standing. What the fuck is wrong with you? But anyway, I digress. But, so yeah, fuck that bitch. I was always kind of suspicious, but I'm like, okay, whatever, I don't really care. Now I'm more curious, because we're rolling right along, AI, it's, I think pretty soon, it's already, learning from itself. Mr. Pellet called it the dead internet, you know what I mean? And it, like him, even way back when, it was making shit up. It suggested those 4 books written by people that didn't exist. And this was like 4 years ago, maybe even 5. And it happened to Mr. Pellet. And it was just a simple inquiry. He was trying to find like the name of a band who sung a certain song, and it, gave him the wrong answer. And he's like, he knew it was the wrong answer, but he didn't quite know the right answer. So he asked the question again, only more in depth. And it actually gave him like a link. And the link, I don't know how he knew it or proved it. I don't remember, but, it was fake, And I've noticed that too. I don't know if I posted this or not, but Fanta energy, the brand Fanta Pop was like invented by World War II Germany. Now I don't know if it's directly related, but it to that. But somehow Fanta Pop has like its beginnings or roots or how it was named or something to some degree. Linked back to World War II, Germany. And it's like, is it right? Well, let's confirm it on the old internet, And it's like, well, it could just be AI confirming other shit with AI. Same thing with these, like, World War II videos, It's like, did this soldier really exist? Did this battle ever happen, Did the Americans accidentally fight the Soviets, thinking they were the Germans? And it's like, it's a good initial thought, but then it's like, well, is it right? Or did AI just ask AI and it just made it up on the spot? What's your inquiry? Oh, yeah, that happened. Yeah, it's right here. Got all the information right here. You know, and it's like pretty soon just everything is going to be bullshit. So, but anyway, as per usual, 20 minutes. It'd be nice if I could put my thoughts into words more succinctly and orderly and quickly. I tend to kind of go all over the place, but yeah, I suspect this is just a faggot bitch, you know, with a landscaping company, you know, who's got a YouTube channel about him being a do-gooder, you know, and maybe I don't know, you know, does he have a, you know, can you donate to him, or is his channel monetized somehow? I don't know how it works, but yeah, Brian, all the fucking way. Bitch boy Brian strikes again. Fucking cocksucker. You know, it's illegitimate. You know what I mean? You know, hey, I got to get mine. You know, I'm sorry. I think lying is kind of a bad thing. You know, I'm not a liar. Like when I talk shit, you know, about, you know, this, that, and the other, I always offer up the caveat, I'm just a troll. You know, I don't fucking lie. Liars are despicable people. So are thieves and vandals. You know, like somebody who doesn't want you parking somewhere, so they slash your tire or something, you know. You know, there's certain people out there who are just despicable, weaselly, cowardly pieces of shit. And Ben and Brian frequently are those people. Technically, you can be a Ben or a Brian and not be a weasel or a piece of shit. It's just their makeup and the way that they think, they frequently are. You know, they're just undesirable people that you don't want to be around. So, and who knows, maybe it's even deeper. You know, that foot doctor, which, by the way, he wasn't a foot doctor. Like I said, he just Joe Blow nobody. I'd bet good money. Who pretended to be an American, you know, Trump supporter chick. You know, how many people you fuck over today, boy? You know, it could be a deeper level, something like that, you know. So it's like, regardless, you know, well, what's the harm, you know? You're kind of missing the point, you know. Are you an upstanding dude, you know? Well, hey, I gotta get mine, man. I mean, fuck the world, you know. Everything's shit, you know. I mean, you know. You've said that before, you know. No, I don't buy that. So, don't be a weasel. Don't be a liar. You know. Don't be a chicken shit. That doesn't mean you have to be a badass or, you know, whatever and walk 10 foot tall. You can be a narrow shouldered, you know, thin neck, you know, fucking dude, but just, you know your lane, man. So, just be a decent human being. Be a decent man, or at least try to be. So, don't be a fucking weenie.